Thanks for joining me for this crazy discussion here. Nearly 50 people in a church in Utah were poisoned. They could have been poisoned to death by carbon monoxide poisoning. We need to talk about this incident because we're not really paying attention, I don't think, to some of these other things. We get so focused on church security and we get so focused on the active shooter, violent intruder that we forget about these kind of things that could happen as well. And it did happen to this church in Monroe, Utah. So nearly 50 people is the report, and it's kind of goes over a couple and under a couple depending on where you're finding out this information. But these people are at church Sunday morning, just a day or two ago, at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in one of their meeting houses, which is a church in Monroe, Utah. And basically, what happens is this first incident in the morning on Sunday morning, a 4-year-old girl is having issues. She's got breathing problems. And so EMS is called to the church and they deal with that and deal with her. And I believe she was transported from that incident, but somebody can correct me in the down below. And then an hour later, EMS is called back for a man who's feeling sick at this church. And then basically there's a third person who ends up being calling EMS after he gets home and he is sick. And so then they begin to put this thing together. And so firefighters respond back to the church and end up uh, doing some checking of the church and find out, sure enough, there's carbon monoxide in the church. The church is evacuated. I don't know how many people are still left there, but this is a catastrophic incident or real close to it. I mean, it's terrible for the church and terrible for the people. And it's something that we're not thinking about. The Sevier County Sheriff's Office reports that 49 people were treated for elevated levels of this poisonous gas, carbon monoxide. There's 54 people who were reported to have issues, and so total that were there, but 49 of these people had to be treated. And so think about that. And I'm not discounting the people here. I'm looking at it from the church security, the church safety perspective. So that's where I'm talking from. These people are very important, and this could have killed them. I mean, there's many people across the United States that are killed every year because of these because of carbon monoxide poisoning. So, and this is happening to an entire church. And so 22 people end up being hospitalized in this incident. So they actually had to be transported to the hospital. From what I understand, they have to go to a hyperbaric chamber. And the issue is this is a small community south of Salt Lake City, about 174 miles south. It's kind of a rural county, and they did not have enough ambulances or EMS people to handle this. And so they had to call them in from nearby counties. As what's being reported to me is that people were calling in that they were having health issues at home and still at the church. And so it was just basically a mass sick situation. And so they had to call people from other counties, other EMS to come in. Just think about that. Think about that situation. They're coming in from nearby counties. They're having to respond maybe a half hour, an hour to help transport these folks because this area, this county did not have enough EMS staff or enough people to deal with this situation. So, I want to just cut to the chase of this thing. I mean, it's not a violent intruder. And honestly, we tend to get focused. I get emails from people every day, and we get focused on how do I get practicing for the active shooter or violent intruder? How are we going to deal with that? And that's what everybody gets focused on. And I'm continually saying you're more likely to have other situations, medical situations. Here's one, a medical emergency. I'm thinking in terms of one person, oftentimes, maybe two, but here we've got the potential for 54 patients at one church. Just think about that. That is crazy. And are you and I ready for this? There's like these folks found out in this town, in this county, in this the state really here is they're not ready for this kind of situation. They had to call other folks in. So I want to encourage you that you and I need to be thinking about these other possibilities. This could have been a deadly church incident. Think about it. This could have been bigger than Sutherland Springs, Texas, an active shooter situation. And so, but it could have been more deadly than that because of a poisonous gas, because of carbon monoxide poisoning. So, church safety and security, we've got to think about encompassing training and preparing for these types of situations. You got to think beyond. You want to think about active shooter, and I know it. Everybody gets focused on that. But we got to look outside the box. And I'm hoping that that's why I post these kind of things for you, is because I want to challenge you. If you're in church security, if you're in church leadership, I want to encourage you to look beyond just the active shooter. In fact, that's not the first thing we should be worried about. We should be worried about those top four that I'm always talking about: medical emergencies, service interruptions, custodial issues, restraining order violations. Those are the more likely issues here. And medical emergency is number one on that list, likely to happen. So, are we planning for this kind of stuff? And I hope this will help you be challenged to think about this and discuss it with your team. Share this link with them. Get everybody on your security team or your church leadership. Or if you're just a member of the church and you're seeing this, send it to them and say, hey, what about this? Are we prepared for this kind of thing? So the incidents ends up being blamed on the heating system in the church, which it can happen, and again, I'm not faulting anybody here, but what I am trying to say is that, a little device like this, and I'll put a link down in the description below for where these are, where you can get them and which ones I'm talking about. This is what I use. And it's, I think right now on sale for $28 for two of them. And that's the link I'll find and put in the description for you. But even if it's full price, it's like, it's cheap compared to, think about all of these hospital bills. And the LDS church is saying, hey, we're going to help take care of these medical bills and all of this kind of stuff. And so they're stepping up. Kudos to them, and to help these people, help these families. But think about that bill, people being transported potentially 174 miles away to Salt Lake City to get to a big church a big hospital that has hyperbaric chambers for them to be treated. And just think about that, and going all over the state. I'm sure they all couldn't go to that same hospital. So where did they end up having to take them to get this treatment that they needed? So, and then are they going to lose work? Are they going to lose other things that are going on in their lives that potentially have to be reimbursed for them? And again, I'm not discounting the importance of people. I'm all about the people, but I'm trying to get us to focus on what are potential issues for us in church security, church safety teams. That is the important stuff that I want us to be thinking about. And I want to challenge you. That's my job, is to challenge you, to get you thinking about this other stuff. So I encourage you to like and subscribe, hang out with us, connect with us, and take a look at this next video. It give you some ideas, something else that you need to do. And if you need some training and those kind of things, check the stuff out in the description down here. We got all kinds of links for you that you can take a look at and connect to other things that will help you, help your team, help your leadership when it comes to church safety and security. Thanks for watching. Take a look at this next video.